What is going on, everybody? It is Treeb from Treeb Talks here, and we are back with another video going over the #1 live podcast in the world. We're talking about Kill Tony, and this week we are going to be ranking every single guest panelist that appeared on the show in the month of September. Now, I made the executive decision to not include the Madison Square Garden show. I do believe that that show in particular deserves its own video, so we will be doing that sometime in the future, kind of dissecting how Kill Tony got to that point, what the show was, and how good everything really panned out on those two nights in New York. But for now, on the main show at the Comedy Mothership in Austin, Texas, we have 7 guests to rank that were on the YouTube show in the month of September. Some of these guests were on the show in August, technically, but with the delay, their YouTube episode didn't come out until September, so we are going to consider them September guests. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive into these rankings, starting off with number 7, and I think it's no surprise, the worst guest of the month on Kill Tony was Joe Crist and his appearance on 684.
Say that? I'll take it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm good at figuring out ways to spell
without
things.
the H. Yeah.
Right. Like Hinchcliffe is H plus inch, Cliff plus E.
It's a haiku to start the show.
It's 11 letters, not easy to spell.
Now, the reason Joe was such a bad guest was obviously he was a first-timer. It was his first time on the show. It seemed like he didn't really get it. It seemed like he didn't understand the aura behind Kill Tony, didn't understand what was going on. He said multiple times he didn't understand if these people were playing a character or if these were real people. You could tell he kind of didn't do his research, and Joe Crist is a famous, I guess, Christian comedian, so didn't really fit the vibe of Kill Tony, so it was kind of a weird person to have on in the first place. And, you know, I was looking for just something funny to put during his part of the video here. And, you know, I could not find anything. You know, I chopped through the video. I looked for, you know, witty punchlines that Joe had, and he didn't have anything. You know, I think Tony Hinchcliffe throughout this video said absolutely or no doubt about it more than Joe said any words at all. You know, I think you can count the absolutely's Tony said, and that is more or equivalent to the amount of total words that Joe said on this entire episode. Luckily, another guest came on later in the show to save this episode. Otherwise, if Joe was the only guest on this episode, it would have been a complete and utter disaster. It was still a dud. Either way, it was probably the worst or second worst episode of the month. So, without a doubt, Joe Crist comes in at number 7. Coming in at number 6, I think, is again, no surprise here. I have Sam J from episode number 681.
You meet women in public? How does it go?
It doesn't.
Have you ever talked to a woman?
Yeah.
How does that
just,
normally?
Bro, look how he just moved his arm up.
Oh, yeah.
Stop.
He closed off his body language.
Yeah,
Something's
stop.
up. Yeah.
Don't do no more, bro.
No, I got
We
you.
all want to live tonight.
No,
bro.
I got to go a little bit further.
Leave that man alone.
Sam J, another person that just seemed like she did not get it. You know, while Joe Crist was kind of silent in his ignorance and kind of sat there like, you know, I don't know what to say, so I'm just not going to say anything. Sam J was very out in the open about not knowing anything and saying, you know, why are you bullying all these poor people, you know, and it was weird. You know, it was weird that Sam J, somebody who was on the Tom Brady roast, somebody who is, you know, obviously familiar with the roast culture, was someone who kind of backed down from that element of the show and kind of didn't, you know, show any interest in that kind of element in a show that is kind of designed for that, if not really 100% designed for that. That's the show's whole purpose, and Sam J just could not really get behind that. And then, you know, she kind of got more and more intoxicated as the night went on, and she kind of became a little bit more insufferable as well as the night went on. It was fine, I think, on the first time through, but I did kind of go back and rewatch it, and Sam J kind of became more annoying on the second time through. So, you know, this episode is not good on a rewatch. Sam J's performance especially sticks out as one of the sore spots on episode 681. So without a doubt, Sam J comes in at number 6 on the list of guests for this month. Coming in at number 5 was the person that she was a guest with, Greg Fitzsimmons, also on 681.
Expect to see like a Karen getting into a slap fight on the sideline of a soccer game. You got the white New Balance and the mom jeans and the teeth. How do you describe the teeth? Let's just say if there was a plane accident and they had to identify you by your teeth, you could tell very quickly.
Yeah.
They're very distinct. Do you open bottles with them?
No. Greg had a couple of good little, jokes, good little segments on this episode, but for the most part, he was kind of dragged down by, what was more or less kind of a poor episode of Kill Tony, and what was, Sam J kind of bringing the mood down overall. He had his moments, he hit his cues. He's a guy that's been on the show multiple times, so he knows what it's like to be on Kill Tony. So in that aspect, he delivered, he did fine. But, I think the top 4 guys on this list were so above and beyond and did extremely well. And something that sticks out, 3 out of the 4 of these top 4 are guys that were just solo guests and guys that could kind of hold their own on a solo episode. You bring together Greg Fitzsimmons and Sam J, who, I don't know if they're friends or if they're close off stage or whatever, but just didn't seem like they had a natural chemistry going on. Kind of just seemed like they were 2 of Tony Hinchcliffe's friends, and they kind of got together, and it was a weird, awkward group of 3, and that kind of damaged Greg Fitzsimmons on this episode for me. So I have him at number 5. Coming in at number 4, I have Matt Rife from episode 679.
Yeah. What's up, everybody? Everyone's cool? Good to see you guys, dude. This is awesome, man. Thanks for having me.
We're going to have a blast.
Matt stood on his own in this episode. He didn't need another guest. He didn't rely too much on Tony. He didn't rely too much on Red Band, and I think he did an extremely, extremely good job. This is how you make your Kill Tony debut, and you kind of knock it out of the park in a way. I think when I first saw that Matt Rife was going to be a guest on Kill Tony, I kind of rolled my eyes. I thought it was going to be, kind of a flop of a performance, but Matt Rife came in and he delivered. He's a guy that made his bread on crowd work and, talking to people. That's his style of comedy. And, that kind of fits right into the Kill Tony scheme. He talked to the guys and gals that did the minute sets and, picked their brain a little bit, where it was able to tell jokes off of their responses. And, he kind of ate off the environment that he was in, and he did really, really well. And then that episode is actually really good on a rewatch, and is somebody that I hope comes back into the future. Matt Rife also, has a good stage presence, obviously from being a comedian, but in those types of shows, obviously he was on Wild 'N Out for, a good bit, so he knows how to kind of attack when the cameras are on and, make a good, show even better. So Matt Rife has the experience in that field, did really well with it, and had some really solid jokes throughout the night. Coming in at number 3, I have Jeremey from episode 684.
One of my favorite comedians, Carrot Top, David Lucas, and Seinfeld.
I love it when Adam Ray comes out and debuts a new character. And this one was a really solid character, essentially a Reddit moderator who lives in his mom's basement. That was the character that Adam Ray was portraying with this Jeremey bit. And throughout, he had great jokes. He really carried the episode on his back with very poor bucket pulls, with a co-host and a co-guest who came on that really was giving nothing throughout the episode in Joe Crist. So he had to really pick up the slack and carry the episode on his back. And he did that with reoccurring bits with, Joe McHale, with him, hating his stepdad, things like that. Like Jeremey, Adam Ray, knocked this one out of the park and did a good job keeping the show on the tracks for what was otherwise an unorganized, not so funny episode of Kill Tony. And not one that's worth a rewatch. And honestly, if you haven't seen it up to this point, just kind of look for clips of Jeremey online and, his best bits, because other than that, this is an episode that is not worth watching, in my opinion. But Jeremey, for what he did and his efforts to save the episode, kind of put him in the top 3 for me, and he deserves that spot, in my opinion. Coming in at number 2, I have Tom Segura for his appearance on Kill Tony number 683.
Have you here at home base where sometimes crazy shit really happens.
I have seen some crazy shit on your show. Yeah.
We can have,
some derelicts that fucking walk out.
Yeah.
Tom has been, kind of hated on in the stand-up comedy world, alongside his buddy Bert Kreischer. Those are 2 guys that the comedy fans love to hate. And when he came on to Kill Tony, he didn't necessarily redeem himself, because I think the next week or so, I think it was the same week, he went on Joe Rogan and ended up, kind of painting himself in a bad light again. And, still kind of came off as that rich asshole that, he portrays himself as on 2 Bears, 1 Cave in Your Mom's House. So, 1 step forward, 2 steps back for Tom. But if we're just talking strictly on his Kill Tony appearance, I thought he did good. He had really good jokes, and, he was almost kind of like a mentor to these comics in a way. If they had a bad set, he would tell them what he liked and what they could do better. And it was cool kind of seeing, it almost seemed like Fat Tom came back for a second. It seemed like the good version of Tom Segura came back. And when I say good version, I kind of mean a good person. I've always kind of liked Tom Segura's stand-up comedy. That's never changed. I saw him live recently. But him as a person, that's kind of died down quite a bit the last couple of years. So it was good to see him kind of step back into that role. But, he immediately kind of stepped out of it. So that was kind of sad. But his episode of Kill Tony 683 was very well received, and I thought he did a great job, putting him as the second best guest of the month. And coming in at number 1, and I don't think it's recency bias, I think it's just a fact, I have Sam Tallent from the most recent episode on Kill Tony 685.
I mean, I'm a bit misty-eyed, honestly. That was such a nice intro, and these people, the fucking Kill Tony fan base has changed my life, and you guys buy tickets, and you come to the shows, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this community. And, sorry, I'm opening sincerely. That's not why you're here. That's good. Let me be vulnerable immediately. Yes. That's a key to success here at Kill Tony.
He's got to be the guest of the year, I think, in 2024, and it's not really even close. I think the only person that you can make a case for guest of the year would be Shane Gillis, as is Donald Trump, or just Shane Gillis in general. Adam Ray's always in that conversation. So Sam Tallent, really in the conversation with some heavy hitters. But the way that he delivers time after time, and, he makes me laugh just by laughing himself. Like, he is such a infectious character, Sam Tallent is. And he did it again in this episode. From the jump, he was making jokes. He was, doing callbacks throughout the episode. And he is just a reliable guest, somebody that is always going to make the fans happy, and somebody that's always going to deliver once he's in that seat with Tony Hinchcliffe and Brian Redband, and he did it once again, and that's why I think he is the best guest from the month of September. Alrighty, guys, tell me what you think. Who were some of your favorite guests from the month of September? What were some of your favorite moments on Kill Tony during the month of September? If you guys want to, you can check all the links down below. You can like me on Facebook at Treeb Talks, follow me on Twitter at Treeb Talks, or follow me on Instagram at Trayvon Pixley. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and click that bell notification so you get notified every single time I drop a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day.